Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to another episode of Cycling Insider. In this episode of Cycling Insider, I want to talk about a bike from Scott Bikes. It's basically Scott Addict RC 15 disc bike. It's a 2018 model, and I want to share with you why I think this is a very interesting bike model, and also considering the price, it is a bit of, I would say, eye-watering price, but it seems like this is now the price range for these kind of road bikes with specific equipment they offer. So let's dive into the Scott Addict RC 15 and see what this bike offers. First of all, I want to just mention one thing about the Scott Bikes, or Scott Sports as the company. So as I see quickly on Wikipedia, Scott Sports is originally a Swiss manufacturer of bicycles, but also winter equipment, motorsport gear, and also the sportswear. They were founded in 1958, so there's lots of heritage behind the Scott Sports and Scott Bikes. And also you can see the Scott Bikes, which are present now on all the Grand Tours, basically ridden by Mitchelton Scott, and they were pretty kind of prominent during the Giro d'Italia this year, and also this year's Tour de France, which just finished recently and was won by Geraint Thomas from Team Sky, which was a bit of surprise, I would say, but he was definitely the strongest rider this year. So let's dive back into the Scott Addict RC 15 disc bike. So I'm now on the Scott's bike page, Scott UK. As always, you can change your location and the preferences, and the price will change accordingly into your local currency. So as I'm looking here now, this bike comes only in this black color. I don't even know how they call it, this color, it doesn't say here. But as I always mention, I wish that bike manufacturers offered at least two color options. Because, for example, I'm not a big fan of this kind of black-gray color combination. So for some people it might be a decisive kind of move to even decide to buy this bike, because the color scheme is pretty kind of understated, I would say. But this is a personal preference, so you gotta decide on that. So let's dive a bit into the components and see what do I think about the price, which is currently 4,200 British pounds, which I think it's a pretty eye-watering price. But as I said, it seems like that the bike industry is setting these standards now for this kind of equipment and bikes around 4,000 British pounds, or definitely above 3,000. So let's dive into the specifications and see what this bike is all about. Basically, Scott Addict range is the Scott's kind of lightweight bikes, climbing bikes. They have other kind of endurance and aero bikes, so this is kind of purely aimed at the climbing performance. So the Scott says here on their website that Addict 15 RC disc comes equipped with their HMF carbon fiber frame and fork, and the weight of the carbon fiber frame is just 925 grams and the fork is 380 grams. I suppose this weight of 925 grams is for the size kind of medium, which is, I have to admit, pretty light. Basically anything around a kilo of a bit or a bit less than a kilo I consider a light bike frame. So considering the frame, this is the Addict disc HMF frame, one of the highest ranks of Scott's frames, carbon fiber frame and the carbon fiber fork, as I said. So disc specific frame, and here I see that the carbon fiber fork also includes the carbon steerer and integrated carbon dropouts, which is a very nice touch. Moving on to the rear mech. Rear mech comes from Shimano Ultegra. It's basically an electronic Shimano Ultegra group set. This is the RD R8050 rear mech. Front mech is again Shimano's Ultegra R8050, again electronic shifting, and shifters again Shimano Ultegra. It's an 11-speed group set, 22 speeds basically in total. So the full Shimano Ultegra electronic group set on this bike. Moving on to the brakes are also Shimano's Ultegra hydraulic disc brakes, which come in 160mm rotors front and back, central lock Shimano rotors. It's always nice to see that bike manufacturers are equipping their bikes with 160mm rotors, because I've also noticed that some bike manufacturers are moving to kind of equipping their bikes with 140mm disc rotors, which I still think is a bit too small diameter. Cranksets on these bikes are also Shimano Ultegra, and this is the 5236 crankset, so very nice for climbing, and also for those who are a bit stronger in the time trialing. It should be more than enough, because the cassette, let me just quickly see here, the cassette is 1130, so really nice climbing cassette. You can really tackle all the big climbs you can imagine. Bottom bracket set is Shimano's BB72. Handlebars and stem come from Syncros. They are alloy, and Syncros is a manufacturer, or I think is the line of products, which is now definitely owned by Scott Bikes. And the seat post is also from the Syncros line, which is their carbon seat post in the diameter of 27.2 millimeters. Again, a nice touch, because the carbon seat posts are famous for their kind of let's say specifications, that they can absorb nicely the small road bumps and the road kind of rash. Wheel set this time is from Syncros 20 disc specific wheels. I can't say here, it doesn't say is it a carbon fiber wheel set, but I don't think so on this price range. I think it's still a aluminum wheel set on this bike. Chain, nice touch, Shimano Ultegra chain, 11-speed chain, so no cutting corners here. And also, as I said, cassette, 1130 Shimano's Ultegra cassette. So full Shimano group set, considering the rear mech, front mech shifting. Also Shimano Ultegra's hydraulic disc brakes, and these kind of nice touches of Ultegra cassette and Ultegra chain. Tires on this bike are Continental Grand Sport in 28C width. This is very nice to equip the bike with a bit of more wider tires, and Continental now is probably the leading manufacturer of bike tires. Approximate weight for this bike is 8 kilograms in total, which I consider pretty light, considering that this is a full Shimano Ultegra hydraulic disc brake equipped bike, and also the electronic, it's a full Shimano Ultegra hydraulic disc brake bike and the electronic shifting group set. So you should expect the bikes around the 8 kilogram mark, and this is for the size medium, I would say. So this is about the specifications of the Scott Addict RC 15 disc bike. So as I see here on their website, this is for the UK. The availability of the sizes is pretty limited, but I'm guessing it's a bit of because it's the end of the season. And also the price here, which is stated on the website, is 4,200 British pounds, which I believe is a bit too much, a bit of eye-watering price. And I believe if you would shop around through some of the local bike shops which stock the Scott bikes, they should definitely give you a certain discount, and you should get it cheaper, in my opinion. So all in all, just to conclude, interesting offering from Scott Bikes. I think this is the first time I am featuring one of the Scott bikes. So this is the, again, Addict RC 15 model, disc specific bike. So we have a carbon fiber frame and a carbon fiber fork, which is from the Scott's HMF carbon fiber range, so a higher tier of carbon fiber. Also here we have a full Shimano Ultegra electronic group set, 11-speed group set. And we also have the hydraulic disc brakes, which come from Shimano Ultegra. So all in all, a very nice package, a complete package. They really didn't save on any special parts. Wheels are from Syncros, which is an in-house brand of Scott. I'm supposing aluminium wheel set. Don't believe it's a carbon wheel set on this price range, because this is, again, 4,200 British pounds bike. So I believe this is going to be it for today. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do, please do subscribe, and I will see you soon in the next episode. Cheers!